Good morning. Thank you for joining today's HIA-LI Manufacturing and International Trade Committee meeting. Today we'll be talking about how to do business with friends, doing business with friends, and we have a panel of experts with us, and we'll learn from them about the economy, opportunities, challenges in the marketplace, as well as business customs. So let's learn from experts today. That is our subject matter. Thank you very much for joining today's committee meeting. Appreciate it. My name is Kevin Dereceoglu, and I am the co-chair. I'm a co-chair of the committee. I'm with my colleague Ron Van Lent, and we run monthly meetings together with Ron, as most of you know. And in essence, what we do is we have manufacturers learn from experts at our meetings, and our goal is to basically help manufacturers thrive in Long Island area. And it is important for us to meet monthly, second Wednesday of every month, and we organize our meetings as educational as possible, as informative as possible. We talk about, as you know, technology, best manufacturing practices, quality management, and other subject matters that will be actually very helpful and informative for manufacturing and business community in Long Island, New York area. In the meantime, if you can keep your microphone muted, that'd be great. We are getting some background noise, so that we can have a better webinar experience, if that's all right. As you know, last year we had many international trade-related activities and meetings. We talked about doing business with Vietnam. We talked about doing business with China, for example. That was also a very informative meeting last year. In terms of international trade, also we talk about international standards and how to utilize it in international marketplaces, for example. So that was also, they were also very informative for our members and also our followers at our committee. And in coming months, we'll continue to do so. And I'll talk about also our coming meetings as well in towards the end of our committee meeting. I also like to invite you to our LinkedIn page. We have a pretty active LinkedIn page for our committee followers and members. On our LinkedIn page, we also share information, announcements, as well as coming meetings of our committee, so that you can be in touch with our committee, and you'll be notified when there's a new notification and update in terms of events. Great. I think Tony Joy is with us. So maybe Tony Joy, are you there?
Hi, yes, good morning, Kevin.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Good, how are you? Thanks so much for the introduction.
Thanks
good
for
morning.
coming.
Yes, of course. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much. My name is Tony Joy Candela. I'm the office manager with the HIA-LI, and I am the manufacturing staff liaison. Again, I just wanted to thank both Kevin and Ron. They do a wonderful job as committee co-chairs and putting on really progressive programming for all of our members and all of you this morning for all of our manufacturing committee meetings. So just a couple updates that I wanted to share briefly with you all in regards to some upcoming programs, as well as some of the initiatives that the HIA is working on at the moment. So as it relates to COVID, the HIA has been really active in working with Suffolk County, as well as just the local governing to help get some information to our Long Island businesses as well as our members. So a couple of things that we're working on right now, just to kind of keep you guys all in the loop. Again, we are working on health and safety initiatives to help vulnerable populations with education on COVID prevention. We are working on a vaccine distribution initiative. The purpose is to help Suffolk County create pods for vaccine distribution. We're also working on developing a campaign called Give Your Health a Shot, so that we can really encourage employers to get vaccines and really get the overall herd of the community, the immunity, so that we can reopen the economy. Again, really looking to spread more awareness about it, educational resources, things along those lines. So we're actively working on that as we speak. I also did want to just kind of shift gears and invite you to some of our upcoming programs. Our next program that we have is on March 18th, which is our 27th annual economic summit. It's a survey of the future of Long Island business. So it is a opinion poll and economic survey that is conducted by PFK O'Connor Davies. This is something that has been done every year. It really gives a good idea of real estate market revenue prices, local and national confidence ratings, head count and salary adjustments, things along those lines. So if you are interested in attending that, again, that is coming up on March 18th, as well as later this month, we do have, we've had our monthly networking and trivia, which this month it will be on the 26th. And it's just a kind of a very fun, casual environment to just network with some other members. It kind of ends the week from 4 to 5 p.m. on the 26th of March, on which is a Friday. And then we also have, just to keep you informed, we have our CEO forum. This is our second of the year. It's featuring Greg Galdi, who's the founder and president of Custom Computer Specialists, and really gets an idea, and you kind of get into the head of a CEO and how they've pivoted throughout COVID, and just what they've had to do in their leadership style, and just get a really interested perspective of their journey as they progress through their career. So those are just some of the ones that we have coming up. Of course, if you have any questions or if you want more information about anything, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you. And I'll pass it back to Kevin.
Joy, thank you so much, as always.
Thanks, Kevin.
HIA-LI is very, very active, right? Many events are going on, so I appreciate for the update. Thank you very much. And if you would like to learn more about HIA-LI events and coming meetings, please visit HIA-LI website. The calendar is updated periodically. As by HIA-LI, as we know it, very active, which is good for Long Island business community, all of us. And we appreciate this help and support of HIA-LI during these times, especially during COVID-19. Okay, perfect. So let's get started with our panel, if we can. So I'd like to introduce our panelists to you. We have a great panel, as we always put together for you for educational and informative purposes. And today we'll be talking about how we can be doing business with France. Introductions to economy, introductions to opportunities, business customs. So we learn many different things in terms of doing business with France. And I'm sure you'll find it to be informative. Let me introduce our panelists to you. We have Maricel Traspalas. She's a senior international trade specialist in Long Island, near office of the U.S. Commercial Service, the export promotion arm of the U.S. government. Maricel helps companies from Nassau and Suffolk counties increase their international sales by entering new global markets in a strategic and targeted manner. Her main industries of focus are aerospace, defense, safety and security, ICT, technology, and advanced manufacturing. She holds a master's degree in international relations and economics from Johns Hopkins University. Maricel, welcome to our panel. Thank you very much for joining. Maricel is always very helpful and cooperative with our community in HIA-LI, and we really appreciate her support always. Thank you very much. Welcome to our panel. We have Brian Tubner from Empire State Department, Global New York. Brian works with businesses in New York City, Long Island areas, and across New York State to promote export growth as part of the Global New York division at New York State Empire State Development. To achieve this, Global New York has programs that can provide export market intelligence and distributor searches, as well as grants to offset the cost of eligible trade activities such as trade show attendance. He directly manages the Global New York Grants Fund, which provides awarded New York State companies a matching grant for eligible export activities. Previously, he worked in Long Island Regional Office and New York City Regional Office of Empire State Development to promote business growth and economic development through the Regional Economic Development Council initiative. Brian has a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from the George Washington University and is originally from Long Island. Brian, welcome to our panel. We work very close with Brian and his colleagues in Empire State with Elizabeth and other colleagues. We really appreciate also his support as always. Welcome to our panel, Brian. Thank you very much for joining. And we have Jeremy Sauter. He's from Business Development Industry and Tech at New York Office of Business France Invest, the French government's foreign direct investment attraction agency. Jeremy's role is to attract and accompany industrial development projects in France. All his services are free and confidential and include site selection, study, research and development, partnerships, recruitment, acquisitions, legal and tax regulatory information, and more of this type of subjects that he offers services. After obtaining an MBA in France and a Master's of Public Administration at New York University, Jeremy worked 12 years for the Hunts Point Economic Development Corporation in the South Bronx, where he was coordinator of the New York State Economic Development Zone, and helped leverage $150 million in private investment and the creation of 3,000 manufacturing and international jobs. Then Jeremy worked 8 years for the French-American Chamber of Commerce in New York, where as membership director led the growth of a network of 1,000 French-American professionals through thousands of personalized introductions and the organization of networking and information events in areas of technology, finance, food and beverage, luxury and fashion, and sustainability. Jeremy, welcome to our panel. We also work very close with Jeremy. He also was with us, I believe it was 2 years ago. We also had an event about doing business with France, and Jeremy was with French-American Chamber of Commerce at that time, so it was also a great event. So we are very excited today to learn more about doing business with France, economy, opportunities, challenges, and business customs. So let's get started. So for that purpose, I'd like to invite Maricel to our virtual stage, and looking forward to hearing from her. Maricel, I'd like to make sure you can share your screen.
Let's see.
I think I need to make you the presenter. It's coming up. Okay, there it is.
Okay.
So we are ready.
Great. Thank you. I'm in the process of sharing my screen. I'll just say I have a very poor, seems like network, so maybe I might have to turn off my video to see if that gets
No
slightly better.
Yes, we can see your screen.
But let's see. It seems like it's working now, so I'll leave it on. I'll leave it on. Okay. Great. So quite a pleasure being here this morning with you. I am, as Kevin mentioned, with the U.S. Commercial Service. And on my presentation, I'll focus a little bit on exactly how to do business with France and more on the resources that we as a U.S. government entity
Maricel, my apologies.
Yes.
Kevin, sorry about that. I had to mention it earlier. So each panelist has up to 20 minutes, and when 5 minutes left, I'll let you know.
Okay, great. Works fine.
Thank you.
No problem. So yes, I'll discuss a little bit more on the resources that we have for U.S. companies that want to do international business and find international opportunities overseas. And then I'll mention about a few opportunities in France towards the end of my presentation. But yes, I'm with the U.S. Commercial Service, and if I can pass on my slides, oh my God, this is nerve-wracking because there you go. Okay, so I'll explain a little bit who we are. As I mentioned, we are with the Department of Commerce, the U.S. Department of Commerce. We're part of a federal agency within Commerce, with the International Trade Administration, and then there's the U.S. Commercial Service. In a nutshell, our main mission is to help American companies find those opportunities overseas. And how exactly do we do that? Wow. There we go. We do that through a pretty extensive network of domestic trade specialists here in the United States, such as myself, and international commercial specialists overseas that are located in our U.S. embassies and consulates. So basically, this is your taxpayers' dollars at play. In the United States, we are located in over 100 offices, Long Island being one of those places where we have a presence. And as Kevin mentioned, our office is in Long Island, and we covered Nassau and Suffolk County. And overseas, we are in nearly 80 embassies. So if you ever have a question that's business related on how to conduct a business in a specific market, whether that question is intellectual property or or replacing your sales rep or doing business with the government itself, please reach out. Specifically to Long Island, we cover quite a wide range of industries, almost all of them, as you can see: agricultural products, education, financial services, because those exports is not just the physical things, but also services. And actually services contribute quite a lot to the US exporting economy. And that includes design and construction engineering, education, travel and tourism, financial services, which is so big for the New York City area. I specifically cover a little bit more of the rough ones, if you want to call it like that: aerospace and defense, automation, advanced manufacturing, but also media and entertainment, safety and security, and they're all listed there. I'll mention that our main requirement is that the company is based either in Nassau and Suffolk counties. If you're not based in any of these counties, we, as I mentioned, have offices in other places in the United States, and we can easily just introduce you to the right trade specialist that can assist you. And the other main requirement is that whatever it is you offer, manufacture, produce, has at least 51% US content. As a federal agency, we do have that rule. Value-added work here in the United States and jobs being retained here and all of that. Some of our services are fee-based. Many of them are not. And throughout the presentation, I guess I'll be making those differences, just so you know. Let me see, next slide. Going to the next slide is the hardest thing for me. There we go. So specifically, we focus on 4 main areas to help a US company with their export needs. We do export counseling, market intelligence, business matchmaking, and commercial diplomacy. I'll explain what all of this entail a little bit in the next few slides. We also, of course, do global events and things of that nature. So an export counseling is sitting down with a company and trying to understand what's their competitive advantage, try to understand what's their business goal. And if they have a specific question, a certificate of sale, of free sale, how can I get one? That's not our area, but we can always try to point you in the right direction. Or standards. Oh my God, what's my standard? What are the standards that apply to export this product specifically to Malaysia? That type of assistance is what we do. This is all free of cost. I am constantly always on the phone between myself and the specialist overseas and the company, either telling them insights about whether it's the right moment to do business in that market, whether their product has any potential in that market. Maybe it's too pricey, or maybe the quality is good and that's a specific market that looks for quality and overlooks a little bit the pricey stuff. So those types of insights. We also have an e-commerce innovation lab, and this is, I just want to mention briefly, this is when we can assist you to try to improve your website. And just for a very modest fee, $100, I believe it is, we can do a whole assessment of your website to see how it fares internationally, to investigate some, if you're using the right key terms, the layout, a search engine optimization type of stuff, okay? So these are some on export counseling. These are some of the common exporting questions that we get. How can I be sure Brazil will accept the testing that has been done on my product? So I guess that comes a little bit on the standard side. How can I protect my intellectual property abroad? I'll mention that we have IP, intellectual property attaches, in key selected markets that cover also regions. So in the case of France, we do not have one in France, but we have one that covers the EU completely. And these are lawyers, government lawyers, that can walk you through that process. Again, free of charge. Does my product qualify for preferential tariff treatment under a specific free trade agreement? We can walk you through that. After all, our teams are actually the ones that help assist draft these big FTAs. Can you help me find an in-country attorney to review my contract? So any sort of service providers that you have to find in France, let's say, we can help assist you. As a government, we cannot recommend a single one. We have to provide at least 3 different recommendations. But hey, I guess the more the better for you. Let's see. So can I export to Cuba, Syria, Sudan? This is a little bit more in the area of export compliance, which we can counsel somewhat on, but we're not experts in export compliance. For that, we rely on our sister agency, the business of oh my God, BIS, business of industry and security, pardon. And we can put you in touch with the right person there. Another one would be my buyer never paid me. That's kind of a hard one for us to help, but you never know what a letter from the embassy or the consulate can do to that partner that you have on the ground. So just some example of the questions that we get all the time. They're very all over the place, I guess, if you want to put it that way. But don't be afraid to reach out if you do have a question that it's related to international business. Maybe I might not have the answer, but I can try to point you in the right direction. On market intelligence, we have country commercial guides. This is free and it's all on our website, trade.gov. So specifically for France, we have a commercial guide that is written by our people, by our experts in the embassy. And it covers from challenges to opportunities to specific sectors that our people have identified. It show U.S. companies have succeeded and show that there are opportunities for U.S. companies to do business in this country. We have from entry market strategies to things related more to customs and regulations and how to do business in general in that specific country. And we have over 100 of those guides. So a very good first stop if you're just considering a market and you just want to get your feet wet and find a good solid piece of information that covers many areas. Our country commercial guides. We can do customized market research for specifically for your product, for your HS code. If you're targeting a region and you want to know, for example, in Southeast Asia, which of the markets would be better suited for you, we can try to do that customized market research. We also do background checks, so please have this in mind. This has a cost. It would be, I believe, like $700 for a small size company. Is a very thorough type of background check that we do, and these are actually quite popular. So if you are about to sign an agreement with a buyer that you found, or a distributor, a sales rep, or a joint venture, whatever it is, but you still want to do the due diligence of knowing, let's just make sure that they're in good standing, our people can do that, and that they go visit. I guess before COVID, they go and meet in person with C-level executives from that entity. They collect recommendations from other organizations or companies that have done business with that entity. And at the end, they provide your report saying, we believe that it's a good or it's not. So please have that in mind. Now, business matchmaking is probably the meat of the stuff that we do. This is what our specialist overseas spend so much time on, and it's finding you those right partners. So let's say that you are traveling to Taiwan and you are a little bit unhappy with your current sales rep, but you have a business meeting there coming up. You can call us. The more time in advance, the better, because there is always sort of a pipeline for our services, and say, hey, look, can you introduce me to at least 5 potential partners to see if I can replace my distributor there. Our people can do that, and that's known as the Gold Key service. I think it's a pretty reasonable price, $950 for a small company, and our embassy does all the arrangements of first of all, pre-screening those potential candidates up to 5, so it's very specific. Up to 5, and then they can arrange the meetings, the places where you can meet with these potential partners, and if you deem it necessary, they can attend the meetings with you. We find that companies of all sizes, small, medium, and large, they really like quite often having that U.S. government presence at those meetings. because I guess for legitimacy, for credibility, and whatnot. But of course, now during COVID, not much traveling is happening, at least not still. And we also provide the equivalent of the Gold Key service, but virtually. For example, our international partner search, it does the same thing as the Gold Key, but instead, of course, of those in-person meetings and all of that, we make virtual introductions. So have that in mind if you're looking to find a business person or an agent, whatever it is that you need. We can also promote your company in the country. Many companies use this service to either launch a new product or even to do a workshop to train their staff or their sales reps in the country on a specific technology or service. They can use the venues at the embassy or consulates for this type of company promotion, or if you want to do a networking event, or if it's the first time you're going into that market and you really want to go all out with a reception, our people can help coordinate all of this through this service called the single company promotion. All right. Those are the main ones there. As I mentioned, we do many trade events. Now, we've done so many of them virtually during these challenging times, but please do know that we can do trade missions. We can do certified trade missions, which are exclusively organized by the Department of Commerce. For this, we rely more on partners to come to us and say, hey, look, in this region in Nassau, or in Suffolk, or in Long Island in general, there is a group of companies that would be very interested, 10 companies in the ICT industry, for example, that will really benefit from going to Eastern Europe and visiting foreign markets. Can we do something about it? We can try to do a certified trade mission and accommodate the needs of those companies. Of course, there are many domestic trade shows and international trade shows, but I just want to bring your attention very quickly to this part on the left side here. Discover Global Markets and Trade Winds. These are our flagship events. DGM, as we call it, is more domestic, and this is when we bring foreign companies into the United States. Location varies, focus on the industry varies, and we introduce you to those foreign partners. And also many primes from the US and globally too come, like Boeing and Lockheed Martin, Cargill, you name them. And you meet foreign partners without having the need to leave the United States. And Trade Winds is the opposite. That's when we take US companies to a foreign market and make those introductions there. Okay, so if you see any sort of travel of email correspondence on Trade Winds or DGMs, know that this is what it is. I want to mention commercial diplomacy a little bit. This is more when a US company wants to apply to a public bid in a foreign country. So it's like selling to the government, right? Whether it's school supplies, whether it's aerospace and defense type of aircraft and all of that, we can help advocate for the US company. So have this in mind. This service is free actually, and it's mostly used by the big companies, but a good 30 to 25% are small and medium-sized companies. I'll give you the example of a Florida-based company that sold actually school supplies equipment to the government of Trinidad and Tobago, and they came to us and said, hey, I'm very interested in this, can you advocate for us? And we actually advocated, and they won the bid. So have that in mind, please. It's called commercial diplomacy. This is also to report any trade barriers that you've experienced are systematic, or a trade dispute sort of issue. I'll cite another example to give you an idea. Just recently, a Long Island company came to us because they were bidding on an airport project, and they found that there was a company from Europe, a European government from a specific country that was sort of spreading false news or false information about their product in this bid, and they came to us and said, hey, can you actually send the letter to the government of such country? I think it was Vietnam, saying that we are a legitimate company. And we did that, and it removed that sort of, we call it a trade barrier. So have this in mind. This slide in here, hopefully you'll get this PowerPoint, but it's filled with resources for US companies that are in that exploratory research phase for potential markets. I already talked about the commercial guides. I talked a little bit about FTAs. We have FTAs with over 20 countries. I know that the USMCA, formerly NAFTA, is probably the most common one, but do you know that we have an FTA with Oman, with Peru? It's quite a few countries that are in there. I mean, not as many as we wish, but with Jordan, Bahrain, we have an FTA with them. So don't leave a deal on the table just because you think that these countries are too far and a little bit unknown perhaps to you. Check out and get familiar with the FTAs that we have. We have tools for industry research. We have this wonderful tool that I really like. It's called the Market Diversification tool. And all you need to know is your HS code for your product. You plug it in and it gives you markets. It lists markets that have potential for you to sell in there. The Census Department has a similar tool. It's called Global Market Finder. And the good thing about it is that it gives you the price unit for that product and what it is sold for in that market. So it helps you make plans for how to assign pricing, how to negotiate with your buyer and things like that. We have top market reports, market destination videos, and all of this is available on trade.gov. Okay, and it's free, absolutely free to use. And here I just want to mention a few upcoming events. Take advantage that now, I guess, the restrictions on mobility. And I know we're tired of webinars and all of that, but there are quite a few, and many of them can be pretty good. These are a little bit more market specific in Europe and South America. And this in here a little bit more, I guess, sector industry specific. We have these upcoming webinars on infrastructure in the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia. Both of them are free and both of them are in March. Beauty and personal care products. So if you are in the cosmetics industry, we're doing this another free webinar for Southeast Asia specifically. And this will give you an idea of the market and also good for networking. Good to know the people who are speaking and befriending them and things like that. Life sciences in Mexico, cybersecurity in India, and technology in the US. Put that one in there. In Northern Europe, sorry, technology. I guess I should have read more about it. But exporting mechanics webinar series, this is to get you more information on just exporting, the basics of exporting, embargoes, Incoterms, trading the new digital world. Such a new area that government is still even like catching up on exactly how to manage it in terms of exporting. Digital strategies. I found quite a few companies have called me just about digital strategies in general, because I guess COVID has, pushed that even more than before, and how to upgrade their websites and how to just improve that area in general. And these are very, very targeted type of digital strategies. So for advanced manufacturing, there is one in March 31st. For consumer goods, ones with rural focus and things like that. So take advantage of it, and they're all free, okay? And now specifically to France, I'll mention that our embassy received a trade lead, we call them, from French firms that are looking to acquire US companies in the following three sectors: wood care, lighting, cosmetics, and food supplements. These are French companies that really want to, I guess, invest in the United States, and they're looking to do that by acquisition via companies that are in these industries. So if you want to, please, if you have any interest in just learning more about it or getting introduced or things like that, let me know. My contact information is right here. So thank you so much. Hopefully that was 20 minutes and you were able to hear all of it, because I know that my connection was spotty. Thank you.
Yes, we heard loud and clear. was great. Thank you so much for the presentation. Very educational, informative as always. And Maricel and her office is always helpful, always responsive, as I know very well. And thank you, Maricel. So Maricel will be with us. I know you may have some questions. We're going to have a Q&A session towards the end of our meeting. So you can type your questions in chat box in the meantime, or you can wait till we have the Q&A session and we can ask our questions to Maricel and our other panelists. Thank you very much, Maricel. I appreciate it. Now I'd like to invite Brian from Empire State Development to our virtual stage, I must say. Let's make sure Brian has this. Right. Okay, Brian, now you can share your screen.
All right, perfect.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, so looking good. All right, well, good morning, everyone.
Yeah.
Glad to be here to present. Thank you for. Oh.
Sorry, Brian, my apologies. You have 20 minutes, and when 5 minutes left, I'll let you know. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Kevin. And good morning again. Thank you, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for the invitation. So I'll be speaking about New York State's Global New York Division and the French market and the export opportunities there. So what is Global New York? Global New York's mission is to promote economic activity in New York State through increasing export sales by small and medium-sized businesses. We are also able to attract foreign direct investment into New York State through some of our other programs that we have as part of our Global New York initiative. We serve as a one-stop shop for New York State companies looking to complete international initiatives. So as part of that, we have an international network of offices around the world that we've identified as being of strategic importance to New York State businesses. These offices include Canada. We have an office in Mexico. We have an office in Europe that's based in London. So we service both the UK and European countries through that office. Israel, South Africa, that covers a number of sub-Saharan African countries for us as well. We also have an office in China, and we have a foreign direct investment office in India that we're looking to also in the future bring and turn into also an export office. So those are the offices that we have. We also have some additional representation in South America. So Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Peru. If you have interest in those markets, we can also provide some assistance through our offices. I'll get to that in a second. So these are our three programs that we have to offer New York State businesses. We have the Export Marketing Assistance Service. We have the State Trade Expansion Program, STEP, and we have our Global New York Grant Fund program. So first off, the Export Marketing Assistance Service, EMAS. This is a no-cost service that we offer to companies. And through the service, we're able to connect New York State companies with those foreign offices that I just brought up. So if you are interested in exporting to Canada, if you haven't begun exporting, or you've gotten some small export sales and you want to increase your sales, you can connect with that office by completing one of our applications. And then through that application, you'll be provided with a market intelligence report identifying your industry in that market and the demand for your product, potentially how your product would play in that market. So some really helpful information from our foreign offices. And then also a distributor search would be conducted. So a list of reputable distributors would be provided to your business, and including potentially sales agents as well, so that going into a market, you'd have a list to start out with. You would be responsible for connecting with those distributors and identifying which one you'd want to utilize, but that would be something that we could provide to you to have get a start into that market. The eligibility requirements for the EMAS program, we have to be a New York State company. You have to be in business for at least 1 year and viable to export. You have the capacity to export 500 employees or less. 51% of your product value added in New York State. So you could have manufacturing operations in New York State, in another state, or in another country, but 51% of that product value would have to be added in New York State itself. And then there's an online application or a PDF application, whichever you choose. You can complete on our website. And I'll just mention the website real quick if you want to check that out as well. global.ny.gov is that you can just type that in the search bar and it'll get you to our Global New York page. Again, that's global.ny.gov. So the next program I'll mention is the State Trade Expansion Program. That's the STEP program. It's a federally funded program that New York State has been participating in since it began under the Obama administration. The STEP program, currently we're running 3 different STEP rounds, the Step 7, Step 8, and Step 9 rounds. Companies in each of these rounds are able to apply for up to $13,000 in grant funds. The different STEP rounds are slightly different in what you can apply under them for, the different export activities that are eligible. But we have a significant amount of funding that will be, that companies are eligible to apply for until September 29th of this year, or apply for and complete activities by that date. As that's the phase out for these programs. At the moment, we're keeping an eye out for a potential Step 10 round that will be, again, funded by the federal government, and that New York State will be applying for, so we can continue the STEP funding in the future. The companies will be reimbursed either 70% of the total project cost or a cap of the funding for a different export activity. So these are some of the export activities that we can fund companies to complete their activities. Foreign trade missions that Global New York would be leading, financial assistance awards for travel. If you complete an EMAS application and want to follow up with the travel to a market to identify or to meet with the distributor that you want to conduct business with and just kind of seal that deal, that is something we can assist with. Subscription services offered by the U.S. Department of Commerce, commercial service. So Marisol programs, we can offer some assistance with those type of programs, including the Gold Key service. With the U.S. Commercial Service Financial Award for travel as well. Export training workshops, if there's a workshop that would cover legal, regulatory compliance, or just even information about a market or general export information that you'd like to participate in, we have funding available that could cover that program or that type of export activity. International or domestic qualified trade shows. So if you're going to be doing an international trade show in person that you want some cost offset for, that's eligible under this program. If you want to do a domestic show that you can demonstrate has a significant amount of international attendees, and that you'd be going there for an international business opportunity, that's also something we could consider. Typically, it would be 20–25% or greater international attendees for a domestic trade show to qualify. Website content, foreign language translation. If you can modify your website for a certain market and change it around so it would be more appealing to customers in a certain market, and of course language translation, those are also services that we can reimburse companies for completing those costs. Development of an international marketing campaign. These can be online ad campaigns, banner advertisements potentially, also in print ad campaigns in a trade publication that you've identified, or if there's another international marketing campaign initiative that you'd like to undertake, you can discuss that with us. That's another activity under the STEP program that we have, again, federal grant monies for that we can help companies with. Virtual services, we added this in the age of COVID, obviously companies and personnel not wanting to travel as much, and then you have trade show venues themselves offering virtual services for companies. So that's an opportunity there if there's an online trade activity you'd like to participate in. And then compliance testing. For markets like the European Union and others, there are usually some compliance tests that will need to be performed on products before they're certified for sale and import into European countries and European Union countries. So that's something that we could help companies with as well. And then with the STEP program, just again, it's a reimbursement grant. So once the activities would be completed, then we could reimburse a company for their costs. There's an application on our website, again, global.ny.gov, and you would complete that. You check off the activities that you're interested in participating in, and then we can review that application. We would send out an award letter, and once you receive that award letter, you go through with the project. Once the project is completed, you send us your documents, proof of payments, receipts, financial documents of that kind related to the activities you completed, and then we would cut a check for the appropriate amount after we reviewed your eligible expenses. So for the eligibility, with this program, it's a little bit more forgiving than the EMAS program because that is a New York State program. This is a federal program. So it is similar in that you'd have to be operating in New York State, manufacturing, selling, distributing a product, or some services potentially in New York State as well, but primarily manufacturing. You have to be in business for at least 1 year. You have to be an eligible small business concern, less than 500 employees by the SBA size standards, and a product or service that contains at least 51% US content as opposed to New York State content. So that's the way that it's a little bit more forgiving. A broader array of companies could be eligible under this as opposed to the New York State specific programs. Then again, online application or also a PDF application is available at global.ny.gov. These are some of the previous export activities that New York State, Global New York has led New York State companies on. In 2019, we completed a multi-sector trade mission to Mexico, multi-sector trade mission to Israel, and we completed the MedTech trade show in China in September of 2019. Obviously, as you can all imagine, we didn't complete any activities in 2020. We did have the Hanover Messe trade show slated for 2020, but that was April of 2020, and nobody was going anywhere April of 2020. So that has been postponed. We thought it might be in person, but given COVID, it has been converted into a digital trade show at Hanover Messe. So it's going to be in April of 2021. We still are leading companies on this show, and we still are recruiting for companies as well. So I'll just mention briefly too, is with this digital Hanover Messe trade show opportunity, you'll be able to exhibit online at no cost, which is a very unique opportunity. As I was mentioning, there's a reimbursement cost for our programs, or for export activities typically under STEP. For this activity, we are able to negotiate for a no cost, as New York State would be paying the full amount for the small size digital trade exhibit or virtual trade exhibit. The deadline of the activity would be taking place April 12th to the 16th of 2021. The registration deadline is March 29th, 2021. And this is the largest industrial trade show in the world. Companies from all around the world, including broadly in Europe, in the French market too, would be participating. These are some of the prime sectors: automation, ocean drives, compressed air, vacuum, digital ecosystems, energy solutions, engineered parts and solutions, and logistics. So if you're a company that would be in any of these categories, you would be interested in participating in this opportunity, please do get in touch with me, and I'd be happy to discuss this further with you for this unique, again, no cost opportunity to participate in this digital Hanover Messe trade show. So I just wanted to touch on that, and please do let me know if you're interested. And I also mentioned briefly the Global New York Grant Fund program, which was mentioned that I've been administering this program. This is a New York State funded grant program that allows for a consolidation of export activities into one project that you would submit to New York State and to Global New York for review and potential funding. I'll also just mention right now that unfortunately it is on pause due to COVID and some budget related items. So we can't take any applications at the moment, but we are hoping that by the end of the year it'll be back online. And then it's similar eligible activities to the STEP program. You apply for them as part of one larger strategic export project, and then we would review that. The eligibility of costs would be a 50% reimbursement for the grant fund program as opposed to the 70%, but it can be for a higher amount. So for a private company, for instance, you could receive up to a $25,000 grant for a $50,000 total project cost. That would be the cap, and below that would be a $10,000 would be the minimum grant award for a $20,000 project, and it's a 50-50 reimbursement at that point. So we're hoping that this program is online. I'll be in touch with Kevin when this program does come back online, so I can spread the news and hopefully take some applications towards the end of 2021 for this program. If you have any questions about this, I'm also happy to just discuss this a bit with you. But again, unfortunately, for the time being, it is on pause and we cannot take applications. So I did just also want to touch on a few facts and figures for the French market for you to be aware of, that I was able to receive from our foreign office located again in London that covers Europe for us. So with regards to France, it's the third largest economy in Europe, the seventh largest economy in the world, population of over 67 million people. There's 13 French regions, and it's a centralized country around Paris, the capital. It's the third largest trade partner in Europe for the United States. It's the ninth largest trade partner globally for the United States. And 38% of all U.S. exports of France were aerospace products. This is in 2018 for companies in the aerospace defense sector. So just touching on the total trade between the U.S. and France, $138 billion of trade goods and services in 2019 were exchanged between the United States and France, so there's a significant trade relationship present, and it also poses a significant opportunity for New York State companies. So some brief insights on the market. While France is renowned internationally for its tourism and domestic consumer markets, it is also the second largest agricultural exporter globally, behind only the United States. Meanwhile, its manufacturing sector prominently features an array of chemical, automotive, and armament, defense, aerospace industry clusters for New York State companies to consider. So these are some of the top sectors here: aerospace, agri-food, the service sectors, including consultancy and marketing, information communication technology, ICT, robotics, clean tech and smart tech, fintech, financial technology, and wellness. So if your company participates in any of these kind of fields, including wellness, I'm sure we also include healthcare. So any of those kind of fields, and I'll touch on some specifics in a second, this would be a good market for you to consider. So as far as aerospace and defense goes, it's the European Union's largest industrial sector, located in France. 300,000 direct and indirect jobs in manufacturing, research, and development there, and the second largest aerospace exporter in the world. Some of the major companies are listed there, including Airbus, and I believe that's Dassault Aviation. The Paris Air Show is the largest global aerospace trade show. So that in the future, that's based in Paris, and that's something to consider as well going forward, that New York State's programs could potentially help you with the STEP program to offset the cost if you're going to participate in the future in that trade show. There's significant government funding in the aerospace and defense sectors, as you can imagine. So the biosciences sector, they rank 4th in position in Europe in clinical trials, 720 bioscience companies located there. 66 billion generated by the pharmaceutical industry, 49% is exported. Over 8,000 people employed in bioproduction in France, and 32 bioproduction sites in France. 3 belong to groups of international origin. France imported $19.3 billion worth of medical products or medicinal products. These imports came mainly from Germany, Switzerland, Belgium, the United States, and Ireland. The French export of medicine is worth $27 billion, and the U.S. is the #1 destination for their exports. And medical devices as well, I'll touch on. 5th largest market in the world for medical devices, 1,500 businesses, 93% are small, medium-sized enterprises, 33 billion in sales on the French market, and 90,000 employees in this sector. 4 future trends to consider for medical devices in France would be population aging, increase of chronic diseases, rise of health expenditures over time, and integration of patient-centered digital tools, so e-health technology. The French demand for medical equipment was estimated at over $40 billion in 2020, and $4.7 billion of that was imported from the United States. So there's a significant market there for medical devices. Demand for diagnostic equipment, rehabilitation, surgery equipment, medical prostheses, intensive care, hygiene, and other health products in those sectors. So just touching on the COVID impact very briefly. As every economy in the world took an incredible hit in 2020, France is prospected to be one of the fastest to rebound going forward into 2021. So there will be significant market opportunities in France following COVID, that's estimated. And some of the sectors that have seen high growth and high potential with regards to COVID and the aftermath of that would be fintech, telehealth, robotics and drones, remote working technology, 5G, and again, information communication technologies. So any companies in that would be an opportunity at the moment to consider the French market. And then again, just why export to France, just go over some points here. Direct flights from New York to Paris frequently. Large density of high-speed rail services in France allow easy connections. So if you need to go into the various regions of France, it will not be difficult. Remains a business powerhouse, the largest concentration of headquarters in Europe. France is the 2nd largest economy in Europe and continues to attract high-level investment with 45% of French equity owned by non-French residents. France is a highly educated workforce and has some of the top business schools in the world. France is a vital connector to accessing the European market. Once you get in to the French market through the European Union regulations, you'd have access to the rest of the European common market as long as you meet those regulations. France shares a land border with other European powers, including Belgium, Germany, Switzerland, with good connections over 500 million consumers in the European single market. During the UK's transition from the EU, several businesses have been relocating to France, and that's been an ongoing trend. We've seen that some UK businesses that were based in the UK have moved to other cities in Europe, including Paris. I know for financial products, a lot of UK businesses had moved to, that were based in Europe, had moved to Frankfurt in Germany. So that's been a trend with Brexit. France is a hub for research and development with substantial resources, support, and tax incentives. So that's another thing to consider going forward. And that wraps up my presentation. And if you have any questions regarding any of our programs that Global New York offers, please do let me know. And again, the Hanover MESA trade show, please do let me know about that as well. You can reach us at 212-803-2300. My extension would be 2346 to get in touch with me directly, and we'll look forward to working with you. Thank you very much.
Brian, thank you so much for this presentation. Very informative. As always, we learned a lot. Thank you. You may have questions for Brian. Brian will be with us, and please type your questions in the chat box, and we're going to have a Q&A session after Jeremy's presentation. So we'll have a chance to interact with our panelists. Thank you very much, Brian. Now I'd like to invite Jeremy Sauter from Business France, and we'll learn more about France and how we can do business with France in terms of importation, exportation, investment, and other activities. Let me see if I can make Jeremy the presenter. Okay, Jeremy. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kevin. So let me open up my presentation. Okay, is that all good now?
Yes, it looks great. Thank you.
Okay, great. So good morning, everyone. As Kevin explained, I'm the representative of Invest in France, which is the part of our agency that attracts foreign direct investments in France. And I'm located at the New York office. We target the entire North American market. And I specifically work with industrial American companies. So to present what the services of our agencies, what we do is we're going to accompany your investments in France. And that means that we're going to coordinate national and regional stakeholders in all the steps of your projects. So to give you an example of what that includes, do you have tax, financing, legal, regulations questions? Would you like to identify project subsidies from France? And there are many. Would you like to be introduced to national agencies, national institutions? Do you need help with your expatriates when it comes to obtaining a visa or facilitating their administrative setup in France? We also have a desk that is focused on acquisitions. So if you'd like to be put in touch with M&A firms on the buy side or even on the sell side, we have a desk in Paris that's going to look at your investment criteria and make the right connections. And they also have databases through their national network of small and medium-sized companies that are looking to be acquired. and so they can use that as well. And we also can help with technological partnerships. So as Brian was explaining, France has a very rich R&D ecosystem, which I will talk more later, and we can make introductions so you can collaborate with another French company in the development of your technology. And at the regional level, we rely on a rich network of regional economic development agencies. It's a bit like the states of the United States, if you will. So a little bit like Empire State Development, and they help our American investors with selecting a site, or then the assistance with recruitment and training, connecting them with their local research and business ecosystems, and then their local subsidies as well. And I should add that all our services are free and confidential. Confidentiality is very important for us. So why invest in France now? As Brian was explaining, France is now a very attractive country. We have key strength, which I will talk about, and also a pro-business reform agenda. So in terms of in foreign investments, France has become the number one country in Europe for attracting foreign direct investment, ahead of our friends in Germany and in the UK. In 1,468 projects, actually decisions of investments were made in 2019. Here we did a survey actually at the beginning of 2021 to ask about American investors' confidence, and the numbers were quite satisfying because in France we have, as Brian explained, we are one of the best countries for rebounding from the COVID crisis in terms of national support, and the French stimulus plan that has been put in place. It's a plan of 100 billion euros to stimulate the economy, and 96% of our investors support and praise this plan, and even 54% think it's even or more competitive than the other plans from the other European countries. The confidence in terms of rebounding from the crisis is also at a good level, as you can see. And in general, investors have a positive, 85% have a positive or very positive perception of the innovation ecosystem in France. Here is to give you a little bit of view of American investors in France. I mean, in total, 4,500 companies, 420,000 people, so very significant. We have 575 companies among the Forbes 2000 that are in France, and it's the leading country. The US is the leading country investing in R&D in France. These are just some examples of companies that I'm sure you know of in terms of water, energy, heating, ventilation, equipment, aerospace, and also glass and photonics. So we have a business-friendly environment as I explained, it's relatively easy to form a company in France, only 4 days, and cost also is very minimal. And we also have introduced very significant reforms of the labor market to make it more flexible, and administrative regulations in general. Innovation, it's a very important part of the French ecosystem. French has become a startup nation in terms of the number of startups creation, and also fast-growing startups in the tech sector. The innovation ecosystem is quite developed in France because we have several resources. We have, first of all, a research and development incentive, which is one of the best, if not the best, in Europe, which these incentives cover the research and development expenses, including partnerships with the universities, staff, contractors, and the credit will be 30% of up to 100 million euros. So it's extremely generous, and it applies to any size of companies. And the tax credit is even refundable after 3 years. In addition to that, we have different funds in France that fund innovation, like BPI French, which is the French Public Investment Bank. And we have different incubators, accelerators. You might have heard of the Station F in Paris, which has become the largest incubator of startups in Europe, with 3,000 people housed in this building. And we also have research institutes, for example, the National Center of Scientific Research, which is considered one of the top 5 in the world in terms of public research. And also we have innovation clusters, which I will talk more. So these innovation clusters there's 56 in total, and they are spread throughout France, as you can see on this map. And each one has a sectorial expertise, and their role in innovation is key because they are going to help coordinate the different stakeholders, the large corporations, the mid-sized corporations, the startups, the research institutes, the universities, the government, in facilitating collaborative projects. And not only do they facilitate these projects, but they help them apply to private financing. They help them apply to public subsidies, including European subsidies, which are very significant. They help with regard to certification of the technology and protecting the international property. And they will also help with regard to partnerships, technology partnerships, which is finding also foreign companies with whom to partner. So this is a sample of some of these innovation clusters in France, and these are some of the most performing. And you can see that it covers a wide range. And here I listed only industrial sectors because this is my specialty, and I think that's what is of most interest to the Long Island Industry Association. And so you can see that there is automotive, there is plastics, energy, robotics, microelectronics, Industry 4.0, aerospace, and technical textiles. We also offer, the French government also offers turnkey industrial sites. Again, this is throughout France, and this is sites that are either greenfield or brownfield, and they can be used for production, for logistics, for R&D. And what is great about this site is that the environmental and the zoning approval are accelerated. Here is what I was alluding to, which is the National France Recovery Plan. Very ambitious, very bold, over 2 years, 2021 and 22. It's 100 billion euros of investment into the economy. And it has 3 major parts, which is one is the ecological transition, very important for France, the decarbonation of the industry, decarbonation of transportation. So that's a very important area for France. So if you have projects that involve this part, you will definitely be of interest to France. And competitiveness, reduction of taxes, and also when it comes to investment in skills training. Here is some of the examples of the investments of this plan. Digital transformation of the industry, for example, when it comes to investments in also in digital solution of the factory in the industry 4.0, robotics, artificial intelligence, driverless vehicles, all these sectors. Here is regarding the aerospace sector, which is a sector that also Brian was mentioning as one of the key parts of the American exports to France. It's also a key area of American investment in France. And so 15 billion right now is allocated by the French state to support this strategic sector. And here it's in the automotive sector, also very key in France. Right now, there are several projects that also are based on the vehicle of the future with batteries, with hydrogen fuel cells. So companies that are developing this kind of technology are very welcome right now in France. There's actually a European level project of several billion euros supporting the batteries and hydrogen for transportation. Here in a little bit of in terms of the talent pool in France, we have more than 1 million researchers and scientists and engineers in France. And the average cost of a researcher is actually pretty competitive compared to other countries, 50% less than the US or 21% less than Germany. In productivity is also on a good level in France. We have apprenticeship and vocational training programs. And in terms of energy, which is also important for industrial businesses, we have been ranked as the #1 country in the world for quality and availability of energy, and also when it comes to the cost of energy, and that has to do also with France's rich infrastructure, very well developed energy infrastructure, including nuclear energy and renewable energies. In terms of logistics, also we are quite well positioned in Europe when it comes to roads, when it comes to rail, also a very dense rail network. When it comes to airplanes and international gateways, and also in general when it comes to freight with the major ports connecting the Northern Europe and the Mediterranean. Here a little bit of a brief focus on the aeronautic and space industry, which is, as Brian was explaining, also one of the key areas of American presence and American exports. So France is a European leader in that sector and #2 in the world, behind the United States. The presence of the industrial presence is very rich, with 190,000 employees, and actually a lot of companies producing in France are exporting to the rest of the world. So this is an investment also that will translate into exports. Airbus is a world leader in terms of aeronautics, and we have a rich environment for innovation supporting aeronautic and space, and including the International Paris Air Show. And you can see some examples of companies, American companies that operate in France in that sector, Hexel and Collins Aerospace. So this is a summary again of what we can do for your project, and I remain available for any inquiry of any project you are considering to see what kind of connections we can help you make in France. Thank you.
Jeremy, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Let me take over the screen and we can continue our session, our meeting with Q&A session, I must say. All right, great. So now I'm opening the floor for questions. I have been also receiving questions from the chat box privately to me. And if you have any questions, also please turn on your microphone and you can share with our panelists. So one of the questions I received is, Jeremy, I think that's for you as a start. I have many questions here on my list. So how is the effect of Brexit in terms of France and doing business in France and economically? What type of effects do you see or are there?
Yes, definitely. We have seen an effect of Brexit in France in terms of companies that are, UK has traditionally been a first point of entry in Europe for a lot of American firms because of the language, obviously. But now with the restrictions on the exports of goods and services, and more certifications that are needed, the supply chain from UK to Europe being disrupted. We have more and more inquiries of companies that were initially looking to start an office in UK to cover Europe, and now they're talking to us about potentially translating this presence to what they call the continent. I think companies now with the Brexit view presence in France as more anchoring to the continent, and so we have definitely seen an increase of interest, and the truth is that when you, for example, when you look at France, for example, if you are next to if you are in the north of France, you have an excellent connection not only with the UK but also with the most number of countries in Europe in terms of transportation and logistics. So we are definitely seeing a post-Brexit effect.
Thank you, Jeremy. I believe also Brian mentioned some information in terms of Brexit and its effects in terms of moving some business from London to Paris and Frankfurt. So that was also included in Brian's presentation. Great, thank you so much. Much appreciated. Let's see if there is another question. So one question is for Marcel. So we understand that there are many services that we can get from US commercial service in different countries. So how can we find these services provided in foreign countries? Marcel?
Hi. Okay, my audio is terrible, and I just heard parts of the question.
Okay.
But it's about where they can find services.
In foreign countries, correct. Yes, you got it. Thank you.
Foreign services in foreign countries. Well, I think that if you have a very specific question, please email me, contact me, and I guess I'll assess the question, and see if I myself can answer it. If not, I can always schedule a call with our specialist in the market, Let's see something recently. For example, I have this Long Island client, a company that wanted to do business in the cosmetics area in Norway, for example, and they wanted to know the lay of the land, how to get certificates, how to get in compliance regulations. You know, cosmetics are very regulated by the European Union, even though Norway, I don't think it's in the European Union, but they follow closely those rules. So we cancel that company in that area. So I think a good first start, as I mentioned, would be just to check out those country commercial guides that I mentioned, which are on trade.gov. If still after that you want to know more or you have further questions, ping me, let me know, and we can try to find the answer together. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Maricel. Another question is for Brian. Brian, you mentioned different programs from Empire State Development. And I understand companies from New York State can apply with certain guidelines and instructions based on your presentation as we are learning. So a company in New York State, how many times a company can apply for your services or programs, I must say, in a year?
Right. So for the EMAS program, companies are able to apply for 2 different markets. So if you did want to apply for, say, in the European market, you could select 2 sub-markets, say France and the UK, for instance, and that will be one of our regional or our foreign offices, so that would count as one, and then you could select a second one that might be Canada or Mexico, for example. So that would be in approximately a year period. It might be a little less than that. It could be 6 to 8 months, depending on your completion and follow-up with the results from your first EMAS. But that's approximately how the application would work. And then with the STEP program, depending on the round that you're in, because we have Step 7, we have Step 8, and we have Step 9. If you're going to be applying for one activity under Step 7, for instance, the Hanover Messe Trade Show, which is that rebate is under, or that no cost participation, I'd say it's not a rebate, it's just no cost participation, is available under the Step 7 program. You can apply for that, and then you can apply for something under Step 8 and Step 9 as we gauge that by the step round itself. So if there's a cap of $13,000 per step round, but you can apply for multiple, different activities under the different step rounds. So that one's a lot more flexible, and if you have multiple activities you're looking to complete under the STEP program, please do let me know and we can discuss your options under that.
Thank you, Brian. Is there any question from our audience? I have one more question before I ask to our panelists. If you have any questions, you can unmute your microphone and you can ask our panelists directly if you like. Okay, so I have, I think, one last question. I think that's for Jeremy. So, Jeremy, this question is, we know there are many French-speaking countries in Africa, and investing in France or doing business with France, how would it benefit in terms of doing business in Africa, especially French-speaking African countries?
Yes, thank you, Kevin. I'm turning on my camera. Yes, okay.
Okay.
So in terms of doing business in Africa, yes, indeed, France can be a launching pad for that. And we have actually seen projects where an investor would set up a presence in the southern part of France, in the Provence area, which is connected directly to the Mediterranean Sea, and as such has direct access to North Africa. And the port of Marseille is one of the largest ports in Europe, and the largest ports in the Mediterranean, and can thus provide a connection with Africa. In addition to that, yes, the resources of that French offers obviously would be French, French-speaking employees, and sometimes also immigrants from Africa that can provide a natural connection with the continent.
Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate it. Well, it looks like we addressed, we asked all the questions to our panelists, so they've been all addressed. I also see my colleague Ron Loveland online. Ron, anything that you like to add before we make our final announcement?
Yeah, no, very good. Oops, sorry about that. Very good presentation this morning. Thank you for all our panelists and for the great information. Manufacturers are always looking for ways to increase their revenues, so this is just one more avenue for them to work on. And have you mentioned what we're doing next month, Kursad?
Yeah, it is. Let's see. Yes, there it is. It's on the screen. So next month we'll be learning about Brazil, how doing business with Brazil. And as we all know, Brazil is the largest economy in South America, and we'll be learning about economy opportunities and also business customs about doing business in Brazil. And we are looking forward to it. Also, we had some meetings in previous weeks, so we'll also have some joint meetings coming up in May with Technology Committee. So we'll also share some more information about how to use technology in manufacturing, and it is also coming up in May, I believe. Right, Ron? Anything else that we need to announce today?
Yeah, and you may want to mention your BIMSR summit that you're hosting next week. I'll be part of that, talking about how to pass an OSHA inspection on the 16th, and then 17th we'll be talking about the approach that we take to improving business processes.
Correct. So that is scheduled on Tuesday and Wednesday. Thank you very much. So that's scheduled on Tuesday and Wednesday, and we'll be talking about how to utilize technology for remote work. I'll also send a separate email for this. That's also on our Eventbrite page if you like to register. So you can utilize technology as to how you can use technology for predictive maintenance, predictive asset management, predictive quality management, AI, automation, and all these important digital subjects, especially more important nowadays for remote work. So we'll be talking about it as well. So we are excited for it. It is coming up on Tuesday, and it will be also available on Wednesday next week. So feel free to register as well on our Eventbrite page, in addition to our meeting next week, next month in April for doing business with France. Great, thank you so much. I'd like to thank our panelists. I appreciate it. Thank you as always for your educational and informative presentations. We learned a lot, and we'll be learning, of course, I have no doubt. So I'd like to thank you for your time, and thank you for sharing your expertise. If you have any questions to our panelists, you can send an email. And please join us for our next month committee meeting about doing business with Brazil. And also, if you'd like to join our summit, is for how to work remotely by utilizing technology. Please join us on Tuesday and Wednesday, which is available on our Eventbrite page if you'd like to register. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.
You all be safe,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you so much. Take care.